My beloved brothers and sisters, there was a moment in your life, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe in sujood, maybe through tears no one else saw, when you turned to Allah with a heart shattered in silence. You begged Him for relief. You cried for strength. You promised to change, to return, to live differently, if only He would ease the pain. And Allah heard you. You see, in your lowest moments, your soul was the most sincere. That pain broke your ego. It opened your heart to Allah in a way comfort never could. And in that vulnerability, you made a promise, Ya Allah, I won't go back to who I was. But time passed. Life became easier. And the very pain that humbled you began to fade, along with the promise you made. This reminder is here to bring it back, not to shame you, but to revive the strength and sincerity you had when you were broken. Because Allah didn't forget what you said. And if you return to that moment with love and humility, not only will He forgive you, He will raise you higher than before. This is your wake-up call. Don't forget what you promised Allah when all you had was Him. 1. When pain turns into a promise. There are moments in life when pain speaks louder than words. When the weight of what you're going through brings you to your knees, not in weakness but in desperation. And it's there, in the silence of sujood or the stillness of your tears, that something remarkable happens. You don't just cry to Allah, you promise, not out of pressure, but from sincerity born in suffering. It's often when everything is stripped away that your heart finally speaks its deepest truth. Ya Allah, if you just ease this burden, I'll change, I'll return, I'll leave what you dislike, I'll do better. That moment of raw vulnerability becomes sacred, because it's the moment your ego is quiet, your distractions are gone, and all that remains is your soul reaching for its creator. Pain has a way of softening the hardest hearts. It reminds us that we were never in control. It humbles us before the one who always was. The person who never prayed starts praying. The one who was distant finds themselves whispering Allah's name through sobs. In that brokenness, a door opens and from it comes a vow no one else hears, but Allah never forgets. The promise made in pain is unlike any other. It's not motivated by worldly desire, it's pulled from the depth of your soul. When the world turns its back, when your strength fails, and all you can do is cry, help me, Ya Allah, that's not weakness. That's your heart turning back to its origin. That's the beginning of real change. Sometimes, Allah allows the pain not to punish, but to purify. He knows what it takes to wake you up, to shake you from heedlessness, to bring you back to Him. And He sees that promise you made when no one else did. The world may forget, but Allah doesn't. And that promise becomes the seed of your transformation. Don't ever underestimate what came from that broken moment. The dua you whispered in sujood, the intention you made while wiping tears from your pillow. That was not small, that was sincerity. And sincerity is beloved to Allah. Even if you've slipped since then, He still remembers the way your heart reached for Him in the darkness. In the Quran, we find so many examples of pain leading to promises. Yunus, in the belly of the whale, cried out in surrender. Ayub, in illness, turned to Allah with dignity. Maryam under the date tree called out in anguish. Each one was broken, each one reached for Allah, and each one was lifted by their promise and prayer. Your promise was a turning point, not because life changed instantly, but because you did. And the beauty of that promise is that Allah doesn't expect perfection after it, He expects persistence. A single step toward Him after that pain carries more weight than 1,000 done in comfort. Because it came from the real you, not the distracted, rushed version, but the soul laid bare. You may feel like you've drifted since then, that you broke the promise or forgot the vow, but Allah hasn't. His door never closed. He waits with mercy, not anger. If anything, the fact that you're remembering it now is a sign He's calling you back. Not to shame you, but to elevate you through that same sincerity you once showed Him. The pain may have faded, but let the promise remain. You don't need another storm to remind you of who you wanted to become. Reignite that moment. Make it your fuel, your anchor. You're not starting from zero. You're returning to a point where your heart was real. That's not a regression. That's a revival. The life you promised Allah in your hardship was a glimpse of who you truly are. Not the broken version, but the honest one. The one who knew that nothing in this world could save them except Allah. Hold on to that version. Let that promise become your path, not one ruled by fear, but by faith. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be sincere again. So remember, your pain was not in vain. Your tears were not unseen. And the promise you made wasn't a moment of weakness, it was a moment of awakening. Rise now, not with guilt, but with hope. Allah heard you. He still remembers. Now live like you do too. The dua you made in tears. There is a kind of dua that doesn't come from the tongue, it comes from the soul. It's not planned or polished. It's cried out in pain, in desperation, in a whisper only Allah hears. That's the dua you made when your heart was heavy, your body weak, and your world collapsing. It wasn't eloquent, but it was real, and real dua is never rejected. You may not remember every word you said that night, but Allah does. The tear that slid down your cheek, the tremble in your voice, the way your chest tightened, all of it was witnessed. And the one who hears even the thoughts you don't speak responded to your pain long before the words left your lips. He knew what your heart needed most. There's a secret in those broken du'as. They carry more power than 1,000 repeated ones spoken in ease, because they come from a place of truth, no pride, no pretense. Just a servant calling out, Ya Allah, help me. That's what makes the skies move. That's what makes the angels say Ameen. And that's what brings down the mercy you can't even comprehend. In the Quran, the most powerful du'as often come from people in pain. Yunus, in the belly of the whale. Zakaria, longing for a child. Ayub, are covered in illness. Their voices weren't loud, but their sincerity was. And that sincerity reached Allah instantly, because the distance between a broken heart and its Rabb is the shortest of all. You may wonder, but I'm still waiting. Was my dua accepted? Understand, this dua is not a transaction. It's a transformation. Sometimes the answer is given in a different form. Sometimes the relief comes in the heart before it comes in the situation. And sometimes Allah delays to raise your rank, not to deny you, but to prepare something better than you imagined. If your dua brought you closer to Allah, then it was already accepted. If it softened your heart, cleansed your soul, humbled your ego, that was an answer. Don't measure its worth by how quickly the dunya changed. Measure it by how deeply your connection to Allah grew. That growth is priceless. That's the kind of response only trials can teach. Never think your tears were wasted. Not a single drop that fell in sujood, not a single breathless whisper was ignored. Allah is Ash-Shafi, the healer. He collects your sorrow like a gardener collects rain to grow something beautiful in your life later. You may not see it yet, but in the unseen, something is already unfolding for you. The Prophet ﷺ told us, dua is worship. That means every time you cried out to Allah, even before you saw a result, you were engaged in something sacred. Don't be disheartened by delays. The skies may not have opened the way you wanted, but your heart did. And sometimes that's the miracle. A heart that still believes after the storm. Remember, the night you made that dua might be long past, but it still echoes in the heavens. Allah is never in a rush. He doesn't forget. He doesn't neglect. He responds at the perfect time, in the perfect way, with a wisdom far greater than ours. What you asked for in weakness, He may give you in strength when you're truly ready to hold it. Even if your situation didn't change overnight, you did. You became more aware, more sincere, more reliant. That growth is part of the dua's answer. You didn't come out empty, you came out refined. Sometimes the trial was never meant to break you, it was meant to reshape you into someone stronger in faith and softer in heart. Keep making that dua even if your voice shakes, even if your faith feels small. The dua you made in tears wasn't just heard, it was honored. The same Allah who listened then is listening now. And He is more merciful than you can ever imagine. His response may not always match your request, but it will always match your need. So don't stop asking, don't stop crying, don't stop hoping. The dua you made in tears was never forgotten. It may be the reason doors open years from now. It may be the reason Allah protects you from harm you never saw. It may be the reason your heart finds peace long after the storm has passed. Keep praying, because Allah always listens. 3. Allah listened even when you whispered. There are moments when the pain is so deep, the only thing you can manage is a whisper. Your lips barely move, your voice trembles, and no one around you notices. But Allah does, because He is As-Sami', the all-hearing, not just of loud cries, but of silent ones, not just of public prayers, but of private pleadings in the stillness of your night. You didn't need to raise your hands or cry aloud to be heard. The whisper of Ya Allah, help me at tomb reached the heavens. That quiet dua, made with a shattered heart and a hopeful soul, was not missed. Because Allah is not like His creation. He hears what's not even spoken. He listens to what's buried in your chest, the dua you didn't even know how to make. When the Prophet Zakaria made his dua for a child, the Quran says, he called to his Lord in a soft voice, and in that softness was power. Allah responded not because the request was shouted, but because it was sincere. You don't need volume for your prayer to matter. You need connection. And your whisper may have been your loudest moment with Allah. Allah listens in ways we cannot comprehend. He listens to the fear in your chest, the questions in your mind, the ache in your soul. You may have felt alone in your pain, but you were never abandoned. In fact, those moments of whispering to your Lord may have been the most spiritually intimate of your entire life. Sometimes you whispered not because you didn't believe, but because you had no strength left. Even your breath felt heavy. But even that weak, whispered dua was wrapped in sincerity, and that's what Allah cherishes most. He doesn't judge you for your exhaustion. He honors your effort, your quiet struggle, your unseen faith. You might wonder, was it enough? Did Allah really hear me? Yes, without a doubt. He heard you before the words reached your lips. He knew your plea before it was formed. And sometimes He responds not with words or signs, but with peace. A quiet calm in your heart that tells you, I am here. That feeling, that's His response too. Remember Hajar Ra'a running between Safa and Marwa. She didn't scream for help, she ran in desperation. Her actions were her prayer, and Allah listened. From her struggle came Zamzam, a spring that still flows today. Her story reminds us, Allah listens not just to sound, but to movement, to effort, to the sincerity behind every step. Your whisper may not have changed your situation instantly, but it changed your heart. And that's how transformation begins. When you whisper to Allah, you're saying, I still believe. Even if I'm tired, even if I'm unsure, even if I'm weak, I believe. You hear me? That belief is a light. And in Islam, even the smallest light is honored. The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, your Lord is shy to turn away the hands of His servant empty when He raises them to Him. So imagine how He responds when His servant, broken and weary, whispers their need. He doesn't ignore it. He treasures it because it shows humility, faith, and a heart choosing Allah over everything else. Even the whisper you thought was too small, too unworthy, too late was not lost. Allah is Al-Halim, the most forbearing. He waits, He listens, He responds in ways we may never fully grasp. And one day, you'll realize that whisper became the reason for a door that opened, a burden that lifted, a peace that returned. Some of the most powerful shifts in your life will come not from grand gestures, but from whispered du'as. Because in whispers, there's no performance, just truth, just raw sincerity. And that's what Allah wants from you, not perfection, not eloquence, just your heart turning to Him, even in a whisper. The fact that you whispered to Allah instead of running to the world shows your reliance. That's tawakkul, that's love, that's worship. It means you knew only He could truly understand what you were carrying. Only He could truly lift it. And that knowledge, even when unspoken, is one of the highest forms of faith. Sometimes Allah delays His response, not because He didn't hear you, but because He wanted you to keep whispering, to keep turning back. Because every whisper built a deeper bond. Every night you came to Him softly, He came closer to you with mercy. And in that relationship, you found what you were really searching for, nearness. So don't stop whispering. Even if it's just, Ya Allah, make it easy. Even if it's a single tear on your pillow. Even if it's a breathless, forgive me. Allah hears it all. And one day, when your life shifts, you look back and realize it wasn't the loud cries that changed everything. It was the whisper he never stopped listening to. 4. The silent vows of the broken heart. There's a kind of promise that's never spoken out loud, but it's real. It's made in the stillness of heartbreak, in the depths of sujood, or in the tears that no one sees. These are the silent vows of the broken heart. No one else may hear them, but Allah does. And in His eyes, they carry more weight than 1,000 loud declarations. When your heart breaks, your soul often rises. That pain strips away your pride, your distractions, your dependence on the world. And in that moment, you find yourself saying things not with your tongue, but with your sincerity. Ya Allah, I'll leave this for you. Ya Allah, just heal me and I'll return to you. These are sacred. These are heard. Allah knows when the promise comes from your wound, not your willpower. He knows that the vow was made while you were shattered, not because you were strong. And that's what makes it beautiful. He doesn't expect you to be perfect, only honest. And sometimes the most honest prayers are the quietest ones, made through tears. The broken heart is one of the most sincere vessels of worship. It doesn't pretend, it doesn't perform, it just begs. And from that begging comes a promise. I won't go back to what broke me. I'll change. I'll give up what I once chased. You may never say it aloud, but Allah knows when your soul means it. Think of the woman who turns away from haram after heartbreak, or the man who comes back to salah after losing someone. They don't announce their vow, but it lives inside them. That shift, that return, that quiet, Ya Allah, guide me now, is a promise more sacred than any public oath. And Allah honors it. In the Quran, we see broken hearts making silent vows. Yunus didn't scream. He whispered his remorse. Maryam didn't shout. She cried beneath the palm tree. Their pain didn't need volume. It needed sincerity. And Allah responded. He raised them because He heard what others didn't. Sometimes, the vow is just an internal decision. I can't live like this anymore. I need to return to prayer. I'll let go of what's haram. No fanfare, no big announcements. Just a private moment between you and your Lord. That's enough. Because Allah sees the shift, even if the world never does. The broken heart's vow is not always about words. It's about direction. You start walking differently, praying more, falling less. Not because you're suddenly better, but because you're aware. The pain made you alert. The loss made you real. And that change, though quiet, is the beginning of healing. Allah does not belittle the small, silent promises. The intention you made while lying awake at night. The resolve you whispered after sin. The quiet plan to change after crying in sujood. These are the moments the angels record. These are the vows that open the doors of divine mercy. You may break the vow, fall short or relapse. But don't let that erase the sincerity of the original moment. Allah knew you meant it. He knew you were trying. So He gives you another chance. Again and again. Because the vow wasn't about being flawless. It was about being real with your Creator. There is no vow more sacred than the one made in vulnerability. When you had no strength left. When all you could do was say, Ya Allah, I can't keep living like this. That sentence, spoken from a cracked heart, is stronger than any speech made in confidence. Allah cherishes that level of truth. If you ever feel like the world has moved on and forgotten what you went through, remember Allah didn't. He remembers the night you cried, the moment you chose Him over sin, the day you said, enough. The minute you promised to change, He remembers and He responds, even if the world never saw it. Silent vows don't need to be repeated daily. Their strength lies in their sincerity. Even if you've never spoken about it again, Allah is still holding that moment between you and Him, waiting for you to come back to it, to rise again, to try once more, because He knows you meant it. So, don't underestimate what your broken heart whispered in the dark. That vow you made, it was not lost. It wasn't small, it wasn't forgotten. Allah Al-Hafiz, the Preserver, kept it. And He is patient with you as you try to live up to it, because He loves the hearts that return to Him, especially the broken ones. Let that silent vow be your reminder. You may have fallen since then, but you also rose once, and you can rise again, not because you are strong, but because the one you made the vow to is the most merciful. And He never stops listening to the broken heart that whispers, Ya Allah, I'm trying. 5. Don't return to what you begged to be freed from. There was a time you were desperate for escape. You begged Allah to take you out of something that was breaking your soul. Maybe it was a relationship, a sin, an addiction, or a lifestyle that kept you distant from who you truly were. And when it finally ended, it wasn't just an ending, it was an answered dua. So don't go back. You cried in sujood, Ya Allah, I can't live like this anymore. You promised to change. You swore you'd walk away if He just gave you strength. That moment wasn't small, it was sacred. That plea was written, preserved, and responded to. And now that you're free, don't let comfort fool you into returning to what once crushed you. Sometimes we forget how heavy it was, how dark the nights were, how lost we felt. Shaitan whispers that maybe it wasn't so bad, but your dua tells the truth. You didn't cry for no reason. You didn't beg Allah because you were comfortable, you were drowning, and Allah pulled you out. Don't dive back into what nearly destroyed you. There's a reason Allah removed it. He heard what no one else did. He saw the toll it took on your heart. He witnessed the way your soul dimmed, your salah weakened, your peace disappeared. He responded to your suffering with mercy. So honor that mercy. Don't trade your freedom for another round of pain. The enemy of your soul wants you to forget how far you've come. He wants to tempt you back to old habits by masking them as comfort or nostalgia. But the believer remembers. The believer protects the progress made through pain. You didn't survive all of that to break again by choice. You're stronger than that now. Think of the Israelites after being saved from Pharaoh only to crave the life they left behind. Allah reminds us in the Quran how dangerous it is to long for what you once pleaded to escape. It's not just a step backward, it's a test. Will you trust the freedom He gave, or will you chase the chains you once hated? When Allah takes something away, it's not a loss, it's a redirection. He knows what harms you even when you don't. You may miss it, feel lonely, even cry. That's okay. Healing takes time. But don't confuse pain with permission. Just because it hurts doesn't mean you should go back. Growth often hurts more than the wound itself. You asked for peace. And sometimes peace comes at the cost of people, habits, or dreams. But what Allah replaces it with is far greater. A cleaner heart, a quieter mind, a soul that begins to breathe again. Don't let a temporary moment of weakness undo what Allah has been building inside you. Every time you feel the urge to return, remember who you were when you left. The tears, the anxiety, the guilt, the numbness. That version of you doesn't deserve to be revived. You're not just moving on, you're protecting the prayer you made when no one saw you suffering. That prayer deserves loyalty. In Islam, we are taught to repent and not return. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best of those who err are the ones who keep repenting, not repeating. Falling is human, but falling by choice back into what broke you is a betrayal of your own healing. Respect your recovery. Respect your dua. You didn't just survive, you evolved. The test was part of your transformation. Don't seek love in what harmed you. Don't seek relief in what once drowned you. Your heart is wiser now. And every step away from that darkness is a step closer to the light Allah wants for you. Sometimes what pulls us back isn't desire, it's loneliness. But know this, being alone with Allah is better than being surrounded by anything that pulls you away from Him. Choose solitude with sincerity over company that costs you your peace. That's not loneliness, that's spiritual clarity. If you slipped, don't give up, but don't settle either. Return to your promise. Remind yourself, I asked Allah to take this away, and He did. That's not a coincidence, that's divine love. Honor it by walking forward, even if it's slow. Even if you miss what you left behind, because you miss the illusion, not the reality. Freedom comes with responsibility. You're no longer who you were. You're someone who was heard by Allah, and that's not a small thing. Now it's your turn to prove that the prayer you made wasn't temporary. Let your actions say, Ya Allah, I meant it. I'm not going back. So guard your turning point. Protect your peace. Cherish your healing. What you begged Allah to free you from once had power over you, now it doesn't. Don't hand that power back. You were rescued for a reason. Live like you remember the storm and walk firmly toward the light. 6. Staying loyal to your turning point. There's a sacred moment in every believer's life, a turning point. It may come after heartbreak, failure, loss, or a powerful reminder that shook your heart awake. In that moment, you made a choice to come back to Allah, to walk away from what was pulling you down. Staying loyal to that moment is where your real strength begins. The turning point wasn't just a feeling, it was a shift in direction. It might have been in sujood, while crying on your pillow, or in a quiet drive when your soul whispered, I can't live like this anymore. That decision was witnessed by Allah, and He opened a door for you. Now the test is, will you keep walking through it? Shaitan doesn't mind if you feel inspired. He fears when you become consistent. That's why your turning point is attacked after the emotion fades. Doubts creep in. Old habits whisper again. But if you hold on, even if you're crawling, you're already winning. Because staying loyal isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. Every great transformation in the Quran began with a moment of return followed by a life of loyalty. Yusuf alayhi salam was tested for years, yet he stayed true to his character. Yunus turned back to Allah in the darkness and never looked back. Your turning point is sacred, and loyalty to it shapes your legacy. You might feel alone on this new path. It may seem like others don't understand your change. Some may question your sincerity, but Allah knows, and if He guided you once, He'll guide you again. Don't let people's doubts erase what Allah planted in your heart. Protect it, nurture it. It's a seed that can grow into your salvation. Being loyal means showing up even when motivation disappears. It's praying when you don't feel spiritual, staying away from what you left behind even when no one's watching. This is where sincerity is proven, not in the moment of emotion, but in the quiet battle to stay true when the excitement fades. Your turning point might feel distant now. Life moved on. You've stumbled. You may even wonder if you lost it. But Allah is not like people. He doesn't expect you to remain unchanged, only that you keep returning. That first sincere step was real. Reignite it. Start again. Loyalty doesn't expire, it revives. Loyalty to your turning point means not romanticizing what you walked away from. The sin, the distraction, the lifestyle, it had its comfort, but it cost you your peace. You didn't leave it for no reason. Don't let loneliness or nostalgia blur the reality. You chose growth over temporary relief. That choice still matters. Think of Hajar in the desert. Her turning point was trusting Allah in complete uncertainty. But she didn't stop after one run. She kept going between the hills 7 times. That is loyalty. Not waiting for instant results, but repeating the effort with hope. Allah saw every step, and He sees yours too. There will be days when you fall short, when your salah is rushed, your heart distracted, your efforts weak. But loyalty doesn't mean flawlessness. It means you get up again. You say, Ya Allah, I remember my promise. And you keep walking, even if it's slow, even if it's messy. Allah loves those who try sincerely. Surround yourself with reminders of your turning point. The verse that woke you up, the pain that broke you open, the dua that softened your heart. Keep them close, because the world is full of noise. But your moment with Allah, that moment of change, was pure. Let it anchor you when the world tries to sway you. Sometimes you won't see how far you've come until you look back. You'll realize the things that used to tempt you no longer hold power. The people who once pulled you down no longer feel like home. That is growth. And it happened because you stayed loyal to that moment when Allah called you back. Every act of loyalty is a form of gratitude. Every time you pray, resist, or remember, you're saying, Ya Allah, I didn't forget. And Allah responds in ways you don't always see. He places light in your heart, barakah in your path, protection from harm you never knew existed. Loyalty brings hidden gifts. One day, you'll stand in front of Allah, and perhaps He will say, remember when you turned back to me? You stayed, you tried, you kept your promise. That will be worth more than anything you gained in this world. Because the soul that stays loyal to its return is a soul that is honored by its Lord. So protect your turning point. Water it with dua. Guard it with patience. Surround it with sincerity. Let your life be shaped by that moment of awakening. Because the real victory isn't found in the emotion of return. It's in the quiet daily choice to stay loyal to the one thing that brought you back to Allah. 7. Allah doesn't forget, so don't you. You may have forgotten the promises you made in pain, the whispered du'as, the sincere repentance, the vows to leave sin, the commitments to change. Time passes, life softens the urgency. But Allah never forgets. He remembers every word, every tear, every breathless plea, not to punish you, but to call you back with love. The Quran reminds us that Allah is Al-Hafiz, the one who preserves. He records every intention, every effort, every moment you turn to Him, even if the world moved on. While you may bury the memory of your struggles, Allah has honored them in the unseen. They are stored not as failures, but as proof of your sincerity. Think about that night you cried and promised never to return to a sin. The sujood where you asked for a fresh start. The moment you told Allah, I'll do better. That was real. Even if you slipped, even if you forgot, Allah didn't. He still remembers not to shame you, but to guide you gently back to who you were in that moment of truth. When you feel distant, disconnected, or lost, remember, it's not that you've changed beyond recognition. It's that you've distanced yourself from a moment Allah still holds close. That memory, that promise, that vulnerability, it still lives. It's waiting for you to return. Allah never closed the door. You just stop knocking. We often remember our sins more than our sincerity. Shaitan magnifies our failures and hides our moments of faith. But Allah does the opposite. He amplifies your good, forgives your slips, and holds on to your honest attempts. When you said, Ya Allah, I want to change, He took that seriously and He still does. If Allah never forgets the tears you cried in secret, then neither should you. Not because you should carry guilt, but because you should carry meaning. That pain wasn't pointless. That turning point wasn't temporary. Let it anchor you when you feel adrift. You once connected with Allah in the deepest way you can again. In the story of Yusuf, his brothers wronged him and forgot their sin. But years later, when truth came to light, they said, indeed, we were wrongdoers, and Yusuf forgave them. If people can forget wrongdoing and still be shown mercy, how much more can Allah forgive the one who sincerely tried and simply lost their way? When you return to that old version of you, the one who cried in sujood, who turned away from sin, who begged for a fresh start, you're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you really were. Allah doesn't forget that version of you, and He's waiting to meet you there again with open arms. Allah doesn't forget the promise you made, but He also doesn't forget the pain that led you there. He knows what broke you. He knows why you were desperate. He knows the burden you carried. His remembrance of your promise includes His full knowledge of your struggle. You're not just accountable, you're understood. When the Prophet ﷺ faced hardship, he never said, I've done enough, I deserve ease. He remembered every moment of Allah's mercy in the past, and that remembrance fueled his trust in the present. That's the mindset of a believer. Allah was there before, He will be there again. You just have to remember. Sometimes your peace will return the moment you remember the promise you made. Not because life changed, but because you did. That memory brings clarity. You remember why you started praying again, why you left that habit, why you walked away. It renews your why, and your why reconnects you with your Rabb. Allah never forgets your effort. The time you held your tongue in an argument for His sake, the time you gave charity while struggling, the day you prayed with tears in your eyes, these are not lost in time. They are preserved in the heavens. Your past sincerity is still writing your future if you choose to return. Don't let forgetting become your excuse. When you feel lost, go back. Revisit your old du'as. Reflect on who you were when you were broken but sincere. Read the verses that once moved you. Sit in the same quiet and ask again, Not because you failed, but because you remembered. And remembrance brings revival. Even if everyone else around you forgets your growth, your change, your silent struggle, Allah doesn't. He remembers your story better than you do. And He's always ready to give you another chapter. All He asks is, do you remember me the way you once did? If so, begin again. You're never too far. So let this be your moment of return. Not out of guilt, but out of love. Because the one who never forgot you is calling you back. And the promise you made, the pain that shaped you, the tears you thought were wasted, they still matter. Allah hasn't let go of that moment. Don't you let go either. 8. Rise every day in honor of that promise. Every day you wake up is a new chance to live in honor of the promise you once made to Allah. That moment of pain, that dua in sujood, that night you whispered, Ya Allah, I will change. It wasn't meant to be remembered occasionally. It was meant to be lived. That vow was not just emotional, it was sacred. And it deserves your effort. You don't need grand gestures to fulfill that promise. It starts with small, consistent acts. A prayer prayed on time. A sin avoided silently. A heart checked before ego speaks. Rising every day in honor of your promise means remembering who you were when you made it and choosing again and again to be that sincere soul. Some mornings you'll wake up motivated, full of purpose. Other days you'll rise heavy, distracted and distant. But staying true to your promise means showing up anyway. Because sincerity isn't proven in the easy days, it's proven in the days you struggle, yet still choose Allah over excuses. The Prophet ﷺ said, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if they are small. That's how you honor your promise, not through perfection, but through commitment. Your prayer, your character, your patience, let all of it whisper, Ya Allah, I didn't forget. You may never be able to fully repay Allah for how He saved you, how He answered your dua, or how He brought you back from darkness. But you can rise each day with the intention to be grateful. And in Islam, gratitude isn't words, it's action. It's changing because He changed your life first. Some days you'll fall, some days you'll forget, some days you'll return to old habits. But that doesn't erase the promise, it only tests how much you still value it. When you fall, rise again. When you slip, turn back. That cycle of returning is beloved to Allah. He doesn't tire of you, so don't tire of trying. Honoring your promise is not about never looking back, it's about not going back. You'll remember the pain, you'll remember what you left, but let those memories strengthen your resolve. You didn't walk away from comfort, you walked away from what was killing your soul. Rise every day like you know that's still true. When you feel weak, remind yourself why you started, what broke you, what you begged for, the voice you had when your heart was shattered. That voice was pure. Let it be louder than the whispers of shaitan. That voice was your soul remembering its place close to its creator. Every time you resist what once tempted you, you're honoring your past self, the one who cried for change. Every time you forgive, every time you let go of anger, every time you remember Allah in private, you are living your promise. Even if no one sees it, Allah does, and He records it with love. This life will distract you. It will try to numb your memory of that vow. You'll be pulled into work, people, opinions, and routines. But make space every day, even for a few moments, to pause and reconnect. A short dua, a sincere sajda, a quiet breath of Ya Allah, I'm trying. That's loyalty in motion. You're not the same person who made that promise. And that's the point. You've grown. Your heart is softer. Your eyes see clearer. And even when you fall with more awareness. That's what growth looks like. You rise not perfectly, but purposefully. Don't wait to feel perfect before you start honoring your promise. Rise now. Rise with your flaws. Rise with your questions. Rise with your tired heart. Allah loves the servant who keeps coming back, especially the one who stumbles but never quits. The one who says, Ya Allah, I may not be strong, but I'm yours. Let your life become a silent reply to the dua you made. Let your choices reflect that sacred moment. Let your behavior, your speech, your time all carry traces of that vow. Not to prove yourself to the world, but to prove to Allah, I meant it, I still do. And if ever you wonder whether it's worth it, whether Allah still sees your efforts, remember He always does. He saw the pain that led to your promise. He sees the effort now, and He will reward you for both. Not only in the hereafter, but even in the peace you begin to feel in your heart today. So rise every day not to be perfect, but to be loyal. Rise every day not because you have to, but because you want to stay close to the one who lifted you when you were broken. Rise every day and let your life say what your voice once whispered, Ya Allah, I remember. My brothers and sisters, life moves quickly, and sometimes in the rush of comfort and distraction, we forget the sacred promises we made in hardship, the quiet vows whispered in tears, the intentions to return, to change, to live closer to Allah. But remember this, Allah never forgets. He was there when you broke, and He is still here waiting for you to return to the life your heart once begged for. You don't have to be perfect to fulfill that promise. You just have to be sincere. Even one step back toward Allah brings you closer than you were before. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is more merciful to His servant than a mother is to her child. So no matter how far you've drifted, the door is still open because Allah remembers what you forgot. So today, don't walk away from your turning point. Reignite the sincerity you had when you were broken. Let that be your motivation, not shame, but love, not guilt, but hope. Because your brokenness was never a weakness. It was the beginning of your return. And the promise you made, it was real. So rise now and live like you meant every word. My beloved brothers and sisters, there are moments when you feel tired of trying, tired of hoping, and tired of waiting. You wonder if your efforts matter, if your du'as are heard, if the struggle will ever end. But remember this, Allah never starts a journey. He does not intend to complete. What feels unfinished to you is still unfolding perfectly in His plan. The delays, the setbacks, the quiet seasons, they are not signs of failure. They are signs of formation. Allah sees the strength you're building, the patience you're learning, and the faith you're holding on to even when it's hard. So don't give up now. If Allah brought you this far, it's because He's not done with you yet. Trust Him. He will finish what He started. Allah never begins a journey without completing it. Allah never starts something in your life without intending to bring it to completion. What feels unfinished to you is not abandoned, it is unfolding according to divine wisdom. Humans rush outcomes, but Allah perfects processes. Every step you've taken, even the painful ones, are part of a journey Allah Himself designed. And what Allah designs, He completes with purpose and mercy. There are moments when you feel stuck between who you were and who you are becoming. That in-between space can feel exhausting and confusing. But it is often the most important phase of growth. Allah allows this stage so your heart matures, your faith deepens, and your reliance shifts fully toward Him. Completion requires preparation, not haste. When Allah places a dream, a desire, or a calling in your heart, it is never random. He does not tease His servants with hope only to abandon them halfway. If He inspired you to begin, He already wrote the ending. Even when you cannot see progress, Allah is quietly moving pieces in your favor. Many believers give up because the road becomes longer than expected. But length does not mean failure. Some journeys are slow because they are valuable. Allah stretches the path to strengthen your patience and cleanse your intentions. The destination becomes sweeter when the road refines you. Allah completes journeys in ways that protect your soul. Sometimes He slows you down to save you from arrogance. Sometimes He pauses your progress to heal wounds you didn't know were there. Completion without healing would break you. Allah is too merciful to rush you into blessings you are not ready to carry. The Quran reminds us that Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. His timing is precise, not careless. When something in your life feels delayed, it is not forgotten. It is being aligned. What arrives late often arrives stronger, purer, and more lasting. If Allah allowed you to survive what almost broke you, it is proof He is still writing your story. He would not carry you through storms just to leave you stranded at the shore. Survival itself is evidence that the journey is ongoing and meaningful. Every prophet's life teaches this truth. Yusuf alayhi salam did not go from the well to the throne overnight. Musa alayhi salam did not lead his people without first being tested in exile. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not see victory without enduring years of rejection. Allah completes journeys, but He completes them through patience. Sometimes you mistake silence for abandonment, but silence is often the space where Allah works most deeply. Roots grow underground before the tree appears above the surface. Your unseen growth matters more than visible success. Allah never wastes effort. Every prayer you made, every tear you shed, every time you chose faith over despair, none of it disappears. Allah stores effort and releases reward at the right moment. Completion is not erased by delay. You may feel tired of starting again, but Allah is not tired of supporting you. His mercy does not decrease when you feel weak. In fact, Allah draws closer to the heart that keeps turning back to Him despite exhaustion. If Allah placed strength in you to begin, He will place strength in you to continue. You are not walking alone. Divine support does not expire midway. It renews itself at every stage of the journey. Sometimes Allah completes journeys by changing their shape. What you thought would end one way may end better in another. Trusting Allah means trusting not just the destination, but His method of reaching it. Your journey is not measured by speed, but by sincerity. Allah completes sincere efforts, even if they look small to the world. A heart that refuses to quit is beloved to Him. When doubt enters your mind, remind yourself, Allah is not careless. He does not plant hope to mock His servants. He plants hope to guide them forward. Hope itself is a sign that the journey is alive. There are chapters still unwritten in your life. Pages still blank, waiting for Allah's timing. Do not close the book early just because the current chapter is heavy. The story is not over. Allah finishes journeys in ways that bring peace, not regret. He aligns the ending with your growth, not your impatience. What He completes will feel right to your soul, even if it took longer than you wished. If you were meant to stop here, Allah would have stopped you already. The fact that your heart still hopes, still prays, still tries, that is divine permission to continue. Completion is not always loud. Sometimes it comes quietly through inner peace, acceptance and clarity. Allah completes journeys not just outwardly, but inwardly, where true success lives. One day you will look back and realize that the delays protected you, the struggles shaped you, and the waiting strengthened you. You will see that Allah never paused your journey. He perfected it. So do not quit halfway. Do not judge the story before the final page. Allah never begins a journey without completing it. And the ending He has written for you will be worth every step you took to reach it. Delays are part of divine preparation. Delays often feel like rejection, but in Allah's plan they are refinement. When something you desire does not arrive on time, it does not mean it will never arrive. It means Allah is preparing you for it. Preparation is mercy. Without it, blessings could overwhelm you instead of uplifting you. Allah delays not to punish, but to protect. He sees outcomes you cannot see and knows timings you cannot measure. What you want immediately may harm you if given too soon. So Allah slows the process, strengthens your heart, and aligns circumstances quietly until the blessing fits you perfectly. A delay teaches patience in ways ease never can. When you wait, you learn to rely on Allah instead of outcomes. You learn to trust His wisdom rather than your urgency. This trust reshapes the heart and makes it strong enough to hold what is coming. Many doors remain closed, not because Allah forgot you, but because He is rearranging what lies behind them. He prepares people, conditions, and moments all at once. When everything aligns, the door opens effortlessly. Delays ensure that when it opens, it stays open. Allah uses delay to cleanse intentions. Sometimes we want something for reasons that would later hurt us. Waiting allows those intentions to mature. What you finally receive after patience is purer, safer, and closer to Allah's pleasure. Delays build inner discipline. They teach you how to remain consistent even without visible reward. You keep praying, keep trying, and keep believing. This consistency is beloved to Allah. He values perseverance more than instant success. If everything arrived quickly, faith would weaken. Delay keeps the heart humble and dependent on Allah. It reminds you that control does not belong to you. This realization brings peace because surrender removes anxiety. Every prophet experienced delay. Promises took years to unfold. Relief did not arrive immediately, but every delay carried wisdom that strengthened them for their mission. Allah prepares those He loves through patience. Delays protect you from regret. Many people receive blessings too early and misuse them. Allah saves you from that by shaping your character first. When the blessing arrives, you handle it with gratitude instead of arrogance. Waiting trains emotional resilience. You learn how to manage disappointment without despair. You learn how to hope without obsession. This balance protects your heart from breaking when life does not move at your pace. Allah sometimes delays to remove distractions. While you wait, attachments fall away, priorities shift, and clarity increases. By the time the blessing comes, your heart is focused and ready. Delays teach you to value the process. You stop chasing results and start appreciating growth. You notice how much stronger, calmer, and wiser you have become. This inner transformation is part of the reward. What arrives after patience carries barakah. It feels lighter, more peaceful, and more aligned. Allah places tranquility in delayed blessings because they come with understanding. Delays also separate sincere faith from convenience. When waiting becomes hard, the heart reveals what it truly trusts. Allah honors the believer who remains steady during uncertainty. Sometimes Allah delays to replace something better. What you wanted may not have been best for you. Delay opens space for divine alternatives that bring more peace than you expected. Waiting brings you closer to Allah through dua. You speak to Him more honestly, more deeply, more often. This connection is a gift hidden inside the delay. Allah does not delay out of neglect. He delays out of precision. Every second of waiting is measured and meaningful. Nothing is random in His plan. Your timeline is emotional. Allah's timeline is eternal. When you trust His timing, stress fades and acceptance grows. The heart relaxes when it stops racing time. Delays strengthen your ability to hold future blessings. What would have broken you earlier will bless you later. Allah prepares containers before He pours gifts. When relief finally arrives, it will not just answer your prayer, it will justify the wait. You will understand why it could not come sooner. Gratitude will replace frustration. So do not rush Allah's plan. Delays are not denial. They are divine preparation. What Allah is building in you now is just as important as what He will give you later. Your du'as are working even when you can't see it. Your du'as do not disappear into silence. They rise to Allah who hears every whisper before it leaves your heart. Just because you do not see immediate change does not mean nothing is happening. Allah works beyond what your eyes can measure. What you call delay is often divine movement unfolding quietly. A du'a is never wasted. Sometimes Allah answers by giving you what you asked for. Sometimes He answers by protecting you from what you asked for. And sometimes He answers by storing the reward for a time you will need it more. Every response is mercy, even when it does not look like one yet. When you make dua, you begin a process, not a transaction. Allah does not rush outcomes. He perfects them. Your dua may be reshaping your future, softening hearts, or removing unseen harm. The work of Allah is subtle, but it is never absent. There are changes happening inside you because of your dua. Your patience is increasing. Your reliance is deepening. Your faith is becoming stronger. Even if the situation looks the same, you are not the same person who first made that dua. This inner growth is part of the answer. Sometimes Allah delays the visible response because the unseen response is more important. He may be strengthening your iman before granting your request. He may be preparing you emotionally so the blessing does not overwhelm you. Your dua is working where it matters most. Dua is a conversation, not a demand. You speak, and Allah listens with perfect understanding. He knows what you truly need, even when your words cannot express it. Trust that His response is guided by knowledge you do not possess. Your dua may be working by redirecting your path. What you asked for might arrive differently than you imagined. Allah often answers in forms that bring more peace than you expected. When the blessing comes, you will realize it could not have arrived any other way. Even when nothing changes outwardly, angels are writing your persistence. Each time you raise your hands, your rank rises. Allah loves the servant who keeps asking, not because Allah needs the request, but because the heart is turning toward Him. Sometimes the answer to your dua is strength to endure. You become calmer in hardship. You find clarity in confusion. This resilience is not accidental. It is the fruit of your prayers. Allah equips you to handle what you face. Your dua may be working by removing what would have hurt you later. You may feel disappointed now, but Allah is sparing you from future pain. Protection is one of the greatest answers to dua. Even if it feels like loss at first, Allah hears the dua you make with tears, with exhaustion, with hope you can barely hold on to. He does not ignore sincerity. The more broken your heart feels, the closer Allah is to it. Your weakness draws His mercy nearer. Dua also works by aligning timing. What you want may be written for you, but not yet. Allah synchronizes people, places, and moments, so the answer arrives complete. Rushing would ruin what patience perfects. When you feel discouraged, remember that Allah promised to respond. His promise is truth. The response may not match your expectations, but it will match your best interest. Trust the one who sees the whole picture. Your dua is working even when your faith feels tired. Allah does not require perfect belief to answer sincere prayers. He responds to hearts that keep turning back to Him even in doubt. Consistency matters more than confidence. Sometimes Allah answers your dua by changing you instead of the situation. You become wiser, calmer, and more trusting. This transformation prepares you for blessings that require a strong heart. Your dua is shaping your capacity. Every unanswered dua is still recorded. Nothing is lost. On the day of judgment, you may wish none of your du'as had been answered in this world, because the reward stored for you will be far greater. Allah's generosity exceeds imagination. Dua works beyond time. A prayer you made years ago may be unfolding now. Allah connects moments across your life in ways you cannot trace. Trust that He remembers every word you spoke to Him. When you keep making dua despite not seeing results, that itself is success. It shows trust, humility, and perseverance. Allah loves this persistence. It is a sign of a heart attached to Him, not outcomes. Your dua may be working quietly, gently, patiently. Not every miracle is loud. Some arrive as peace in the heart, clarity in decisions, or relief you cannot explain. These are signs of Allah's response. Do not stop making dua because you feel unheard. Stop only if you want to stop the conversation with the one who loves hearing your voice. Allah never tires of your prayers, even when you feel tired of waiting. So keep asking, keep trusting, keep turning to Allah. Your du'as are alive, moving, and working in ways you cannot yet see. And when the answer finally reveals itself, you will understand that Allah was responding all along. Hardship is shaping you, not stopping you. Hardship often feels like an obstacle, but in reality, it is a workshop where Allah shapes the believer's heart. What you experience as pain is often preparation. Allah does not place difficulty in your life to halt your journey, but to strengthen you for what lies ahead. Every hardship carries lessons that comfort never could teach. When life becomes heavy, it is easy to believe you are falling behind. But Allah's work is not always visible. While you feel delayed, Allah is refining your patience, sharpening your wisdom, and deepening your reliance on Him. Progress in faith is not always loud. Sometimes it happens quietly through endurance. Hardship removes illusions. It shows you who you truly depend on and what truly matters. When comfort fades, sincerity appears. Allah allows difficulty so your heart detaches from false security and reconnects with Him. This reconnection is growth, not loss. Through hardship, Allah builds inner strength that ease cannot produce. You learn how to stand when support disappears. You learn how to breathe when answers are unclear. This resilience is a gift formed through struggle, not granted through comfort. Hardship slows you down so you can reflect. In moments of difficulty, you turn inward and upward. You begin to question your direction, your intentions, and your priorities. Allah uses hardship to realign your heart with His guidance. Many blessings require strong character to hold them. Allah shapes your character through hardship so success does not destroy you. Without patience, humility, and trust, blessings can become burdens. Hardship prepares you to receive what is coming with gratitude, not arrogance. Every test carries a lesson meant specifically for you. Allah tailors hardship according to the heart He wants to build. What feels overwhelming is measured precisely by divine wisdom. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can carry. Hardship also teaches compassion. When you suffer, you become softer toward others' pain. Your empathy deepens, your judgment weakens, and your mercy grows. This tenderness of heart is a sign of spiritual maturity. When hardship stays longer than expected, it is often because the lesson is still unfolding. Allah does not rush growth. He allows you to fully absorb what patience feels like, what trust looks like, and what surrender truly means. Through hardship, Allah trains you to rely on Him instead of outcomes. You stop expecting life to be easy and start expecting Allah to be sufficient. This shift brings a peace that does not depend on circumstances. Hardship removes pride quietly. When you struggle, you realize how little control you truly have. This humility draws Allah's mercy closer. A broken heart that turns to Allah is stronger than a confident heart that forgets Him. You may think hardship is blocking your progress, but often it is redirecting you. Allah may be saving you from paths that would have harmed your faith. What feels like delay is sometimes divine protection. Hardship strengthens your dua. When ease disappears, your prayers become sincere and focused. You speak to Allah honestly, without filters or pride. This closeness is one of the greatest gifts hardship brings. Through hardship, Allah teaches you endurance. You learn how to keep going even when motivation fades. This perseverance becomes a foundation you will rely on long after the test ends. Hardship also teaches acceptance. You learn that not everything will make sense immediately. Trust grows when understanding is limited. Accepting Allah's decree calms the heart even in difficulty. The believer is shaped by trials, not broken by them. Every hardship adds depth to your faith and clarity to your purpose. You emerge stronger, wiser, and more grounded than before. Hardship forces you to let go of what you cannot control. This release lightens your heart. When you stop fighting what Allah has allowed, peace enters quietly. Allah uses hardship to polish the soul. Just as pressure turns coal into diamond, difficulty transforms the believer. What shines later is the result of pressure endured patiently. Hardship teaches gratitude. You begin to appreciate small blessings that once went unnoticed. Contentment grows when you learn to thank Allah even in discomfort. Every hardship has an expiration date written by Allah. It will not last forever. What lasts is the strength you gained while passing through it. Hardship is not a sign that Allah is displeased. Often, it is a sign that He is invested in your growth. Allah disciplines whom He loves, shaping hearts for greater purpose. When hardship reshapes your heart, your perspective changes. You stop fearing struggle and start trusting growth. Life becomes less about avoiding pain and more about growing through it. Hardship also teaches boundaries. You learn where to give, where to stop, and when to protect your heart. Wisdom grows through experience. Allah never wastes hardship. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of uncertainty is recorded. Nothing is meaningless in Allah's plan. Through hardship, Allah prepares you to support others. Your experience becomes guidance. Your pain becomes wisdom. You help others because you understand their struggle. Hardship teaches resilience without bitterness. You learn how to remain gentle even after being tested. This softness is strength, not weakness. As hardship shapes you, you begin to see life differently. You become less attached to outcomes and more anchored in faith. Stability grows within you. Hardship teaches you to find peace internally. You stop searching for calm outside and start building it through trust in Allah. When hardship passes, you will recognize its role in your transformation. You will see how it shaped your patience, your character, and your faith. Hardship is not stopping you. It is sculpting you into the person Allah knows you can become. And when the shaping is complete, you will move forward stronger than you ever imagined. Trust Allah, the ending will be worth it. Trusting Allah is not pretending the pain doesn't exist. It is believing that the pain has a purpose. When life feels uncertain and the road ahead is unclear, trust becomes the light that keeps you moving. Allah does not promise an easy journey, but He promises a meaningful ending. And what He writes always carries wisdom. Many people give up too early because they judge the ending by the difficulty of the middle. But Allah completes stories in ways the heart could never predict. What feels confusing now will one day make sense. Trust means believing that clarity is coming even when today feels dark. When you trust Allah, you stop rushing outcomes. You allow life to unfold with patience. You understand that blessings rushed often lack barakah, while blessings delayed arrive with peace. The ending Allah prepares is not rushed, it is perfected. Trusting Allah requires surrender. You release control over how things should happen and allow Allah to decide how they will happen. This surrender lifts a heavy burden from the heart. Peace enters when you stop fighting the decree and start flowing with it. Every delay you experience is shaping the ending. Allah adjusts timing, people, and circumstances so that when the conclusion arrives, it is safe for your heart. Trust means believing that Allah is protecting you from endings that would have hurt you. The believer who trusts Allah does not panic when doors close. They know closed doors often redirect toward better ones. Allah never blocks a path without opening another. The ending you fear losing may not be the ending written for you. Trust grows strongest when answers are absent. When nothing makes sense and hope feels fragile, choosing trust becomes an act of worship. Allah loves the heart that relies on Him even when certainty is scarce. Many endings feel painful because they are misunderstood. What you see as loss may be Allah removing what no longer served your soul. Trusting Him means accepting that He knows what to take away and what to leave behind. Trust Allah when progress feels slow. Growth does not always show itself outwardly. Sometimes Allah is rebuilding you internally before changing your surroundings. The ending will reflect this inner strength. When you trust Allah, anxiety begins to loosen its grip. You stop replaying worst-case scenarios and start believing in divine mercy. This shift calms the heart and clears the mind. Allah's endings are not fragile. They are firm, lasting, and rooted in wisdom. What He completes does not collapse easily. Trust ensures that what arrives stays with stability. Trusting Allah means believing that your efforts are not wasted. Every prayer, every step forward, every moment of patience contributes to the final outcome. Allah never ignores sincere effort. Some endings come quietly. Not all victories are loud. Sometimes the greatest ending is inner peace, acceptance, and clarity. Trust helps you recognize these subtle blessings. When you trust Allah, comparison fades. You stop measuring your journey against others. You understand that Allah's plan for you is unique. The ending written for you will fit you perfectly. Trust also teaches endurance. You learn to keep walking even when motivation fades. This perseverance becomes part of the reward. Allah values consistency over speed. The ending Allah prepares considers your future, not just your present. What feels difficult now may save you later. Trust means accepting short-term discomfort for long-term peace. When fear whispers that things will never work out, trust responds with remembrance. Dhikr reminds the heart that Allah controls outcomes. Fear weakens when trust grows. Trusting Allah means letting go of constant questioning. Not every why needs an answer today. Some answers reveal themselves only with time. Trust fills the gap where answers are missing. Allah completes journeys in ways that heal, not harm. He aligns endings with emotional readiness. Trust ensures that when the ending arrives, your heart is ready to receive it. The believer who trusts Allah sleeps with less worry. The mind rests knowing that Allah is handling what feels overwhelming. This rest is a gift of faith. Trusting Allah does not mean you stop trying. It means you try without desperation. You work, pray, and strive, then leave the results to Him. Every ending Allah writes carries barakah. It may not look like what you imagined, but it will bring peace you did not expect. Trust allows you to embrace that peace. Trusting Allah helps you release resentment. You stop blaming the past and start welcoming the future. Healing begins when trust replaces regret. Allah's timing never misses. What arrives late often arrives stronger. Trusting Him means believing that delay was never denial. The ending, Allah writes, honors your patience. It reflects the strength you built along the way. Trust turns struggle into meaning. When you trust Allah, disappointment loses its power. Even when things do not go as planned, peace remains. The steadiness is a sign of strong faith. Trust teaches you to value the journey, not just the destination. You begin to see how much you have grown. Gratitude replaces frustration. Allah never forgets the promises He places in your heart. Trust means believing that what He inspired will be completed. Hope itself is a sign of what is coming. When the ending finally arrives, you will understand the wisdom behind every delay, every test, and every tear. Trust will turn into gratitude. So hold on, keep trusting even when the road feels long. The ending Allah has written will be worth it, because Allah never disappoints the heart that relies on Him completely. My dear brothers and sisters, if your heart feels heavy today, remember that Allah has never abandoned you. Every step you've taken, every tear you've cried, and every dua you've made is known to Him. What feels slow or uncertain to you is unfolding with perfect timing in the sight of Allah. He is shaping you for an ending far greater than you can imagine. Do not measure your journey by how tired you feel. Measure it by how far Allah has already carried you. If He protected you through the hardest moments, He will not leave you before the victory. The night does not last forever, and neither does the struggle. So hold on a little longer. Keep trusting, keep praying, and keep walking forward even with a tired heart, because Allah is faithful to His promise, and He will finish what He started in you beautifully and completely.